While recycling is now commonplace for some materials, many polluting products are still destined for landfill. And even when things are recycled, they're often turned into low-grade materials that are less valuable than the original item. I'm Amandeep Bangu in New Jersey, America, to meet a company that's developing technologies to revolutionize the way we think about rubbish. TerraCycle was set up over 10 years ago by Tom Zaki and is now considered the world leader in recycling waste, traditionally thought of as non-recyclable. Hi Tom, I'm Amandeep.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to TerraCycle, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. I love the look of your office. Is this actually an office?
It is, yeah. This is our global headquarters, and I think you're sort of noticing the garbage. You know, every aspect of this office, every detail is made from waste. Basically everything except the computers is found in a dumpster somewhere. We try to embody what we stand for. You can absolutely call a meeting to order.
Is this when you try to get everyone's attention?
It works sometimes, not always. Just a little creativity and everything can be thought about in a different way. I think one of the tricks to garbage is don't think of it as garbage. And if you don't think of it as garbage, it isn't garbage. It's just another raw material. And it's what has made TerraCycle successful is this whole approach to not perceiving garbage as garbage. It's just something else that needs to be transformed into something new.
TerraCycle takes materials that are traditionally bound for landfill and invents ways of recycling them into valuable plastics, which are sold to manufacturers. This reduces the amount of rubbish that ends up in the ground, while also reducing the amount of crude oil that's extracted to make new plastics. The company, which has an annual turnover of approximately $20 million, operates in 24 countries worldwide.
We found that, without exception, any form of waste can be recycled. Crisp bags can also be melted into this granule. This is a plastic pellet that's entirely used crisp bags, and then that could be made into something like this, which is a dog bowl. We use chewing gum, we can recycle into a plastic. This plastic is made from 30% used chewing gum. And that's where we make the non-recyclable quite literally recyclable. And what we find is that the simple way to do that is as long as you can collect categories of waste and you put enough investment around it, anything can be recycled.
So you've been going for about 10 years.
That's right. This is our 10th year, and every year we've been bigger than the year before. This year we're probably going to process close to about 30 million pounds of material that couldn't be recycled, that TerraCycle has invented ways to recycle, hoping actually next year to break 100 million pounds of total material coming through.
Tom, you talked about cigarette butts and even chewing gum. Is there anything you can envisage that cannot be recycled?
No. The human species has just innovated so fast that our materials are so different that nature hasn't caught up with being able to do it herself. And that's where other human systems like TerraCycle or other companies that try to look at what we do can come in and mimic that idea and create circular systems.
New recycling techniques are perfected in the in-house lab before being conducted on an industrial scale in huge recycling plants. Their latest invention is developing a way of turning cigarette butts into plastic.
Yeah, if you want to get some yourself,
sure.
I would recommend the tongs since they have been used. So this plastic is called cellulose acetate. It's a high-grade industrial engineering plastic. It is fire retardant, which is why it's used in cigarette butts. It does not photodegrade. It does not biodegrade.
This is your traditional non-recyclable waste.
This is the definition of non-recyclable. So you can just go ahead and start putting cigarette butts into here.
And what does this curious looking machine do?
So this is taking your plastic in your butt form and melting it down into a plastic and pushing it out through a die, which gives us the shape of the extruded plastic. So this is environmentally friendly because we're not extracting any more material from the earth. We're using what's already been produced and we're recycling it. This is what comes out. It's very black because there's some tobacco and material still in there, but this is still a reasonably strong plastic. Like I can't really break it just with my fingers here.
That it's that strong?
It's that strong.
And then what happens with this product?
Because it's so strong, we can put it into benches and other plastic products like that. And there's a beautiful story behind it. This used to be trash at one point, and now you've reclaimed it into something that is hopefully going to have a second life.
A huge variety of items, such as cigarette butts, are collected in 90,000 locations across the world. Organisations involved in the scheme receive a financial reward for each pound of waste collected, which they can donate to a charity of their choice. So now at one of the collection points that TerraCycle works with. This one happens to be a library. Hi, is it Scott?
Yes, it is.
It's Amandeep.
Nice to meet you, Amandeep.
I've heard that you run the collection point here.
I do, yes. That's when you have TerraCycle material, you come to this guy.
So let's go find out where you do the dirty business.
Okay, it's right this way.
I meant that in the best way possible.
I understand. Here it is.
Oh, here. Okay, sorry. I almost walked past it. I think you were taking me onto some big institution.
No, right here, right at the front entrance. You come into the library, and right in the center, we got our signage.
It looks like you've almost reached 30,000.
Yes, it's really flying. It was slow going at first, but as I said, as word got around, I mean, we hit 10,000, and I said, let's make a big deal when we go to 25,000, and that seemed to come like that.
And Scott, I've noticed here you've got chip in for change. Who chips in for change?
Actually, it's paid for by the group TerraCycle. People bring in the chip bags, we send the chip bags to TerraCycle, and they send us a check. So we're getting, you know, tens, 20, sometimes hundreds of dollars for this.
And does that go straight back into the public library?
It does. All the money we get from TerraCycle, we use to purchase books, magazines, things for the patrons that are good enough to bring us the chip bags.
See, that's brilliant. It's trash for cash.
That's a pretty good phrase.
So let's go take this to the collection point. So I've come to the other side of town now. This is where one of TerraCycle's warehouses is based, and their recycled goods are sent over here. Hey. Hi there, my name's Amandeep.
Gregory Mister, how you doing?
Hi Gregory. I take it you work here. What are you doing today?
I'm a forklift driver. I'm trying to move these aisles.
It's got to be the tidiest waste warehouse, right?
Yes, yes, pretty much. Because everybody here tidy.
What's kind of passing through here?
Anything recyclable is coming in here.
Comes through here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm on TV.
And all of this, if it wasn't coming here, if it wasn't in one of their warehouses, it would be in a landfill. So it's remarkable that they're actually collecting everything here, and it will be recycled, diverting it from being buried in the ground.
You know what? Ever since I started this company, that's when I realized anything can be recycled. I eat just a lot. I just toss them right in the back. I'm like, oh, I'll recycle them. I can save a lot of money.
Gregory, are you passing on the message to your friends and family?
If they're watching.
The material from Gregory's warehouse is taken to a nearby recycling plant. This place is huge. I mean, how big is it?
This is a several hundred square foot facility. It goes on for almost a mile from end to end. So this is a very large space.
And how much have we got here? I mean, what are you looking at?
Several 100 million pounds of material goes through this facility.
Is this where all cigarette butts end up? You know, the ones that we were...
Right, yeah, the cigarette butts end up here and they are processed here. So this part is the shredding process. This is where we feed in material and grind it up into smaller pieces that our extruder can handle. So this is reducing the material down from a larger size down to a much smaller, more manageable size. And that's when we can also do mixing and really get good chemical mixing of the material.
And what's happening over here? All these pipes and big machines?
Right, so all of these machines are the extrusion lines they have here at Ultra Poly.
When you say extrusion, what do you mean by that?
So extrusion is a process of taking a molten material and putting it through a die, and that die gives it a shape.
Okay.
And so this is forming the material to a shape that we can use. In this case, we're making it into a small pellet.
Yeah,
so
like
we're
this,
cutting it,
right?
yeah, much like this. So this is like the pellets you saw before.
Yeah.
Fresh out of the machine.
Is this the end of the process? We've seen everything now, right?
This is the end of the line. This material will go to applications and other companies, and they'll use this as their raw material feedstock.
So this is ready to be shipped to a manufacturer?
This is ready to be shipped and used again.
This plastic is sold to companies around the world to be turned into all sorts of brand new products. And of course, once those products are no longer useful, the whole process can begin again, although there is some degradation over time.
You know, if you were able to talk to a tree and say, what do you think about garbage? The tree wouldn't have a word for it because the word garbage simply doesn't exist in nature. Every output of one organism is the most important input for the next one. And that's how we have to think as well in the human system, instead of really thinking in a very linear way, the way we do today, which is extract materials, turn it into a product and throw it out. We need to be in the thought process of take materials, use them, then repurpose them into something else, then use them again, and keep doing that indefinitely.